The government's announced a former High Court judge will lead the public inquiry into the infected blood scandal of the 1970s and 80s. Thousands of patients died after contracting hepatitis C and HIV from tainted blood. David Hatton from Mickleover was a haemophiliac who died after he was treated with some of that blood. His daughter Katie Walford says his needless death changed her life.
7 minutes to 5, you're with Martyn on BBC Radio Derby. Now, the government's announced a former High Court judge will lead the public inquiry into the infected blood scandal. Thousands of patients died after contracting hepatitis C and HIV in the 1970s and 80s from tainted blood. Katie Walford is from Mickleover. Her father, David Hatton, was a haemophiliac who died after he was treated with tainted blood. What happened to your dad?
So, as you say, he was a haemophiliac, and it's a blood condition, and there's different levels of it. He was a severe A type, which means his factor VIII levels couldn't work properly, so his blood couldn't clot. So medicine's come a far way, but around that time, what he had to have was blood transfusions or blood products. And around that time, a lot of the blood products and a lot of the blood used to infuse was actually taken from individuals who had HIV, and there were even actually evidence to say that there was from corpses as well. So it's pretty tragic. And when it was coming to the end of his life, finding out about this, it was then realising that there was a lot of people. It wasn't just my dad, as you said, it was thousands, and the death toll, it just keeps continuing.
When you did find that out, that your dad had died because of tainted blood, how did that change the way you felt about the end of your dad's life?
It was a very confusing time. I mean, he died when I was 10. So when you're 10, you've got enough kind of understanding of what death means. But the emotional implications, I don't think, are quite there yet. And 2 years later, around when I was about 12, my mum and my brother, who's 5 years older than me, decided it was time to tell me the truth. I always thought it was because of his haemophilia. So when I found out, it was just a downward spiral, really, of confusion, anger. I didn't know who to trust. I took it out on my mum a lot. And from that point, it was just very, very dark times. And it felt very scary and lonely, to be honest.
Fast forward to now, and the government announcing this former High Court judge leading a public inquiry into what happened. How do you feel on hearing that news?
It was a relief that we finally had a named chair. For say it was announced, the inquiry, back in July last year, it was something that has been needing to happen, and there was just delay after delay after delay. And the point I like to make here is that since the inquiry was announced in July, 49 more people have died in 30 weeks. So it's more delay. And Diana Johnson, who's been a fantastic supporter, has basically said that justice delayed is justice denied. And that's so true. And just all these delays, it was a relief to finally have it, but we're still expecting a few more delays, to be honest.
What are you hoping is going to come out of the inquiry?
I would like people to be named who are responsible for what's happened. I would like, for me personally, some closure. And I know that there are a lot of family members out there who also want this closure, but a lot of people who have survivor's guilt. I mean, imagine that, knowing that so many thousands of people have had this happen to them, but they've gone, and you're there still, well, a diminished quality of life, is to say the least. And it's something that we all need to happen because, well, we need it to happen because we need to know that justice has been served and this type of thing will not happen again.
Katie, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Katie Walford from Mickleover, talking about the latest news, which is that the government has announced a former High Court judge will lead the public inquiry into the infected blood scandal.